right now I got my camera in a very, very dangerous position. But this is the only way. So this is the kind of risk you should not be taking, guys. This is not a good example of risk taking. I'm gonna take a picture right now to show you what I mean. Anyways, I'm risking my brand new DJI to be talking about a pretty important topic here, so I'm hoping it can be really valuable to you guys. I'm in a wedding right now. I'm in Turkey, Istanbul. Great place, amazing place. But right now we got a lot of time to just relax before the event starts. So I figured it's time to talk to you guys about the really big things that block me from becoming a profitable trader, because I really wish that someone would have told me in my journey so I could have become profitable a lot faster, which is, number one, there's a really big problem with trying to learn everything all at once. So whatever community you choose to get into, shit's getting really bright right now. One sec. I need to take my shades. Okay, I'm back. Whatever community or strategy you choose to learn, fine, right? You choose whatever. But the problem comes when you try to learn every single available setup within that strategy all at once. That is just a terrible way to learn, and I know, because I did that. The best way actually to go about learning how to trade is to focus on a specific entry setup within whatever strategy you choose. Because the vast majority of the time you will have multiple entry types for whatever strategy you choose to trade. There will be multiple entry types, multiple setups, and you have to resist the temptation of trying to learn everything all at once. That was really, I think, the biggest block in my journey to becoming profitable. I couldn't focus all my efforts and all my time to learning just one or two setups max. So that really hurt me because I tried to learn everything all at once. So don't do that. Number two, if you're trading a strategy with a large risk to reward ratio, so anything above 3-1, you have to be content with catching just one part of the move. So maybe you know that it's possible for a move to go much, much larger than a 3-1 or a 4-1 or a 5-1. But the fact is, most of the time, there will be large pullbacks against your trade that will be very difficult to manage through, to the point where it's unrealistic for you to think that you can consistently ride through these large pullbacks against your position. What ends up happening, and again from experience, is that you end up getting a lot less in your profits than you were supposed to if you had just set a harder target on a local level or an intermediate level on the H4 maybe. That would have been a lot better for you, because the pullbacks that you're going to go through is too large for you to try to defend. And what ends up happening when you try to give your trade extra breathing room, so for example, you're running like 4% in profit, but you only lock in 1% profit, so you're leaving 3% breathing room. You're still gonna get tagged out for 1% profit when you're already running 4%. And then you might ask like, oh, but why don't you just lock in more, right? So if you're running 4%, let's just lock in 3. My answer to that is, if you're only giving a 1% breathing room, you might as well just exit the trade entirely at the 4% target, because a 1% breathing room will not be enough to handle any sort of retrace whatsoever. Meaning the trade literally has to go pretty impulsively in your favor for you to survive locking in 3% profit. So it's like doing it half-assed, you know? It's not gonna work. It doesn't have a purpose. So whenever you're doing something in trading, ask yourself, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? And if you are giving your trade breathing room, then give it actual breathing room, right? Trades need more breathing room than just a 1% breathing room most of the time. So usually in FX, I'm trading with anywhere between a 13 to 20 pip stop on average, okay? So that's the context. So if we're giving a 1% breathing room, it's going to be about 13 to 20 pips. That is rarely enough to handle any sort of real retrace. So giving a 1% breathing room is just not a great idea. especially for the stops that are smaller. So if we're going anywhere between 13 pips, 14 pips, the smaller stop loss trades, you have a higher incentive to actually set a harder target at 4, 5, 6%, whatever it might be, depending on where you're trading in the market, right? Depending on what level you're going against. And sticking to that hard target is a lot better. And again, I know from the data, I've seen hundreds of trades at this point, right? Been trading for, 6 years now? And professionally for 2019 September, so 5 years professionally. But I was trading a year-ish before then, but more for fun, more casual. I was still in college, but I was already exposed to the market. But yeah, if you're gonna give breathing room, you have to give a proper breathing room. Usually, in my case, that's anywhere between 2 to 2.5% breathing room, and that's usually if I'm just starting the trade in profit. So I usually have a break-even strategy. And then that moment where I break even my trade, that's usually where I give the most breathing room before I start locking in profits. But that's a topic for another video. So yeah, guys, the conclusion is this: don't try to hit home runs every time. Don't do that. All right? You don't have to hit 7%, 8%, 10% wins for you to be a successful trader. That's not a real thing. And I'm aware that a lot of these Instagram accounts or even YouTube accounts, they sell you this idea that, your sniper entries will get 8-9% targets and that's how trading will be. But no, guys, sometimes 3%, 4%, 5% wins are more than enough. It's not so much about how much you win when you win. It's not just about that, but it's about your strike rate as well, especially when you're already trading large capital. You don't want to be trading a strategy where the strike rate's like 20%. So out of 5 trades, you usually only win 1, because that's really heavy on your mental capital. In other words, it's a very stressful way to trade. And you don't want to do that. It's just a stupid way of going about this job, which is already stressful naturally, right? But don't worry, you can handle the stress. You can actually manage the stress. And one of the ways is to be realistic about the strategy, the kind of strategy that you choose to trade. And so I really suggest choosing and developing your strategy towards something that has a higher strike rate. You don't want to be trading a 20% strike rate, a 10% strike rate. Trust me, guys, you will be fucking yourself in the ass. It is probably the most stressful thing you can do to yourself. So please don't do that. Try to develop your strategy in a way that goes into like at least a 30% strike rate, and that's already low, right? Ideally, you go into 40%, 50%, even if that means sometimes you have to let go of these big winners. 5%, 6%, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You have a minimum threshold, so that's the final point. You need to have a minimum threshold of at least 30-ish%, and that's already like pushing it, right? Ideally, you go higher to 40%, to 50%, even if it means sacrificing your trade frequency, meaning you don't trade as much throughout the week and throughout the month. That's completely fine, guys. 4 trades a month, I think, is a solid minimum. So let's say 1 a week, right? As long as those trades that you take are actually quality and it saves your strike rate to a 40%, 50% strike rate, that's actually the ideal scenario that you really want to be shooting for. So that's your goal. Now I'm giving you the goal that you should be trying to shoot for. You should be okay in sacrificing trade frequency as well as your average win. When you do win, how big that is. Those things you can and should sacrifice in order to boost your strike rate. Because once you're starting to trade larger capital, guys, and it becomes your full-time job, believe me, you will need a higher strike rate. I didn't used to think so when I started out trading, because I thought, I'm strong enough mentally, I can handle the drawdowns. But guys, you can say that when you're trading small capital. But once you're starting to trade larger capital, both personal and investors, different story, guys. It's a different story. It's a higher level of pressure, so we need to adapt accordingly. So instead of doing the adapting too late in your journey, why don't you start building the correct habits from day one? Honestly, why procrastinate on making the habits that you eventually need to have anyways? Start building the correct habits from day one, guys, and then you will be thanking yourself. Once you go into year 2, year 3 of trading, you will be thanking yourself a lot. And I wish I'd done that, but I didn't. So I'm here to hopefully, even if just one of you listens to what I'm talking about as we're just chilling here in Turkey, and you actually try to do what I'm telling you to do, and it helps you, then I've won, then it's worth it, me doing this here right now. So yeah, just thought I'd spend a little time reflecting on my journey and thinking about the most important lessons and sharing it with you guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get ready soon. Got a party. My neck's a bit fucked, so I gotta be a bit careful. My friend gave me this massage gun thing, but then one of my other friends said you shouldn't be doing it like too hard. I have to be like more gentle on my neck because there's a lot of nerves here. So yeah, I'm just gonna be a bit more gentle. Just chilling, using that little massage gun. Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now, and I don't think I want to show that on YouTube because it kind of looks weird. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.